Hey everyone, my name is McKenna, also known as Celtic Studios, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today I have a super exciting restyle to share with you guys to celebrate Chinese New Year. This year is the year of the horse, and even though JINAFIRE is obviously not a horse, I still thought that she would be perfect to celebrate Chinese New Year. And this was actually a commission for one of my mutuals over on Instagram, Sean X Dolls, so I'm super excited to finally share her with you guys because I've had her done for like probably over a month now. I've just been saving her, for Chinese New Year. And before we get into the video, I did just want to say that she was inspired by a custom that Dante Mars made over on Instagram. I'll put a picture up on the screen now. And I did ask him for permission if I could use his doll as inspiration, and he did say yes, so I'm super excited to finally share her with you guys. So without further ado, let's get into the restyling, starting with prepping. So since this doll is just going to be a more simple restyle, it's going to look a little bit different than my normal custom dolls. Because I'm not like rerouting her or repainting her skin or anything, her preparation process will look a little bit different. So to start everything off, I am just taking a piece of scrap fabric and covering up all of her hair to protect it from my spray sealant. And I'm just using sewing pins for this, and then also safety pins to secure the rest of the hair. Now that her hair is all secured, I'm just taking my 100% acetone on my Q-tips and just rubbing it on her face to remove all the factory paint. Since my bottle of acetone is getting like a little bit lower, I've started putting it in like this little plastic cup so that it's easier for me to get it out without, spilling it all over the place. So I just poured some in a little cup and I'm just dipping my Q-tip in it to remove all of the paint. This is what JINAFIRE's sculpt was looking like with no factory paint, but now it's time to move on to the next part, which is the body detailing. So one of the main parts of Dante's doll that me and my commissioner loved was the golden ombre that he gave JINAFIRE's limbs, so we of course wanted to recreate that as well. And I honestly struggled a lot with this. I kind of did this two different ways. So the first way, I initially had used just my golden paint on a sponge and it just did not look good at all. So I had to remove that completely, and then I tried going in with my soft pastels, and this was the attempt that worked a lot better. So I'm just going in with like a golden yellow soft pastel and just slowly building up that color and blending it out as much as I can. And I did this on her forearms, her knees, and then her forehead and across her cheeks as well. This was definitely a trust the process moment for me. Like, I wasn't really sure how it was going to turn out at first because like the gold color was kind of turning out like green over her skin tone, but with this and then the gold shimmer that I added later, I think that it turned out super well. So yeah, I just went in over I think like 2 or 3 different layers and just built up this color and blended it out as much as I could. And like I said a second ago, once I was happy with that, I went in with a golden mica powder to add like the special shimmer that she should have. And I also did multiple layers of this. I'm pretty sure I did like 3 or 4, just sealing it with Mr. Super Clear in between each layer because I really wanted her to have that golden sheen. And for the parts of her body that were already gold, like the gold color was a little bit too orangey compared to what I was doing, so I went in with my gold paint, watered it down a little bit, and just painted like a layer or 2 just to make it match a little better. Once I was happy with how that was looking, I sealed it with some watered down Mod Podge, and it was time to move on to the next step, which is the face up. So to everyone's surprise, I actually have a decent amount of footage of me doing this face up. I'm not entirely sure why, but like my head wasn't entirely in the frame the whole time, which is pretty cool. Usually my big fat head is always in the way, so it was pretty nice to actually have more footage this time. But that's besides the point. Let me explain what I'm doing here. So basically I'm just going in with my mechanical pencil. It's just a normal like 0.5 mechanical pencil, and I'm just mapping out all of her features. I always like to work on both eyes at the same time just to make sure that everything is as even as possible. I find that doing it this way really helps me with symmetry, but I know that a lot of other artists like to do like one eye completely at a time. It just kind of depends on your preference. But I like to go back and forth and work on both of them at the same time. And I decided for this doll I wanted to give her a side glance. I've been on like a side glance kick recently. Like, I don't know, I just feel like they are way cuter than straightforward glances after doing so many straightforward facing dolls for so long. I'm just obsessed with the look of a side glance. It's so cutesy to me. But yeah, after I went in and mapped like her eyes and her eyebrows and everything, I went in with my red pencil and mapped out her lips, and then I'm just adding highlights with my white pencil here. I always like to add highlights like as early as I can just so that I can get as much color buildup as I possibly can. So I'm doing this on the first initial sketch layer. And this is what she was looking like once her face sketch was all done. It looks pretty simple for right now, but for layer number 2 we'll be going in and adding all of the colors. Oh, and before I sealed her and started working on the second layer, I did go ahead and add her forehead marking. My commissioner requested that I add the forehead marking from the losing makeup of her Fang Boat doll, so that is what I went ahead and added. But yeah, now I'm going in and adding all of the color for her eyeshadow, and I landed on like a red to gold kind of ombre effect, which I think is really pretty. For this face up, I wasn't entirely sure like what direction I wanted to go for a while, so I did plan it out on my iPad beforehand. I will insert like a picture of what that looks like here. I don't plan out every single face up that I do digitally, but for the ones that like have a lot of detail or ones that I need to like brainstorm more ideas for and figure out what direction I want to go, planning them out digitally really does help. Now we're onto the third and final layer for her face up, and in this layer I just go and define everything further, add all the details for her eyes, and then add like, you know, shadows and her pupils and everything. So I'm just building that up with some black chalk pastel here, and then adding all of the little catch lights. And to make her eyeshadow extra glittery, I decided to mix that same gold powder inside some of my Liquitex High Gloss Varnish, and I just added that to her eyelids. And this is her finished face up. I'm honestly obsessed with how this face up turned out. I really love it. This was actually my second time working on a JINAFIRE and like my second like repaint restyle on her, and I'm so happy with how this one turned out compared to like the first one that I did last year, which is kind of ironic. This doll was the first repaint I did this year, and then my last JINAFIRE was the first repaint I did last year. So I think it's kind of funny that they both ended up being my first repaints of the year. But now let's move on to the final part, which is her outfit. So since this is a more simple restyle, I didn't actually make a full outfit for her. I kind of just altered a rainbow high outfit that my commissioner wanted her to wear. And literally the only alteration I did is make it fit the G3 Monster High body. So to do that, I just seam ripped all of the Velcro and then cut off a little bit, just depending on how much I needed to fit the doll properly. Once I cut this fabric, I noticed it was fraying, so I made sure to fray check it and then also hem the edges with fabric glue. And I'm personally not the biggest fan of Velcro, so I like to use these little tiny snaps. So I just sewed on 3 snaps on the skirt, a snap on the corset, and then I believe 2 or 3 snaps on the top as well. This is what her corset was looking like all done with the added snaps. And then this is how everything was fitting. It just fits way better than it did before. It was way baggier before. So this is a little overview of everything that I altered. And I also wanted to mention that I added a hole for her tail in her skirt because the previous skirt didn't have that because it wasn't for a JINAFIRE, so I added that hole. So with all that being said, I think she's complete and ready for her reveal. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this week's YouTube video. And a huge thank you over to Sean for commissioning me to make this JINAFIRE for you. I had such a fun time and I love how she turned out. And another thank you over to Dante Mars for allowing me to use his doll as inspiration. His JINAFIRE is so gorgeous. I highly recommend you guys check out his customs. He is so talented. But yeah, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's YouTube video. Depending on my workload this next week, I'm not sure if I will have another video up next week, but I definitely will have one the following week if not. I just recently completed 2 more of my commissions, so I have those to show you guys soon, and I am so excited about them. I want to post them now, but I can't. I need to pace myself a little bit. But yeah, I hope you guys are excited for those. If you guys would like to see more content from me, I highly recommend following me over on my Instagram and my TikTok. I'm like really active on my Instagram. That's like my main social media, if I were to say that I had one. And I also have a Patreon as well that I will link in the description. If you join me over there, you get early access to YouTube videos just like this one, early access to future customs, and a ton of other benefits, so I will leave the link in the description. And as always, a huge thank you over to my patrons over there, and especially my paid patrons. Pumpkin Tushy, Ali, Neil, and Jizer, thank you guys so much for supporting me over on my Patreon. I appreciate you guys so much. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys are having a good morning, night, evening, or whatever it is wherever you are. and I'll see you guys in the next one.